The void of space was shattered by blinding flashes as the alien fleet descended upon the human colony, its towering ships emitting waves of searing energy. Commander Zartal's cold, calculating eyes scanned the hollow display aboard his flagship. His lips curled into a smirk. Prepare the final assault. The humans' defenses are no match for us. On the surface of Colony Alpha, Captain Sarah Mitchell watched the alien onslaught from the command center's viewport. Her usually calm demeanor was now edged with grim determination. The bright, pulsing lights of alien blasts refracted off the colony's protective barrier, causing sharp, glittering reflections. The barrier shimmered but remained intact, repelling the alien attacks effortlessly. "Captain Mitchell, the armor's holding strong," Lieutenant James Morales reported, his voice steady despite the chaos. He checked the readings on his console, his face bathed in the dim light of flickering screens. "They're not getting through." Sarah nodded, her gaze fixed on the viewport. "We're not out of the woods yet. If Zartal thinks our defenses are weak, he's about to make a costly mistake." Dr. Evelyn Hayes, the lead scientist behind the revolutionary armor, hurried into the command center. Her eyes were wide behind her glasses, scanning the rapid data streams projected around her. "Captain, the alien weapons are more powerful than anticipated. We've increased the energy output to maximum, but I need more time to adjust the calibration." Sarah's face hardened. "Time isn't a luxury we have. What's the status on the countermeasures?" Hayes bit her lip, her fingers dancing over the console. "We've deployed drones to create a false signal. It might buy us a few minutes." Suddenly, an alarm blared, signaling an incoming wave of alien forces. Zartal's fleet, frustrated by their previous failure, was now pressing their assault with renewed intensity. The command center trembled as another barrage of energy blasts struck the colony's outer defenses. Sarah turned to her team, her voice cutting through the din. "Prepare for counterattack. If they're coming for us, we need to show them why they underestimated humanity." As the alien forces regrouped for a more concentrated assault, Sarah's squad, clad in the advanced armor designed by Hayes, readied themselves. Their armor, sleek and reflective, seemed almost to pulse with a life of its own, absorbing the ambient light and energy from the surrounding chaos. Lieutenant Morales approached Sarah, his eyes narrowing with determination. "The aliens are trying to find a weakness. We've got to be ready for anything." The ground shook as the alien ships unleashed another wave of blasts. Sarah took a deep breath, her gaze shifting to Hayes, who was frantically working to stabilize the armor's energy fields. "We hold the line here. No matter what it takes." Just then, the alien fleet's energy blasts began to intensify, the air crackling with an electric tension. Zartal's voice crackled over the comms, his tone dripping with disdain. "Your defenses are impressive, but not invincible. Prepare for the final strike." Sarah's resolve hardened. She signaled her team, and they moved into position, their armor gleaming defiantly in the face of overwhelming force. The battle was about to escalate, and the outcome hung precariously in the balance. As the aliens prepared their final assault, the tension in the command center was palpable. Sarah's team, a mix of fear and fierce determination in their eyes, awaited the inevitable clash. The stage was set for a confrontation that would test the limits of human resilience and ingenuity. The chapter closed with the sound of the alien fleet's engines roaring closer, a prelude to the chaos that was about to unfold. Sarah Mitchell and her team stood ready, a defiant stand against the impending storm. The once steady rhythm of blaster fire had intensified into a frenzied barrage as Zartal's fleet unleashed its full fury upon Colony Alpha. Each blast illuminated the bleak, war-torn landscape with staccato flashes of violet and gold. In the command center, Captain Sarah Mitchell gripped her tactical display, eyes darting between the incoming alerts and the soldiers preparing for the counteroffensive. "Captain Mitchell, the alien forces are regrouping for another heavy assault," Lieutenant James Morales announced, his voice betraying a trace of tension despite his professional facade. He adjusted the calibration of his console, his fingers moving with practiced precision. Sarah nodded sharply, her gaze fixed on the viewport. "Then we need to hit them before they can consolidate their attack. Prepare the troops for an immediate counterstrike. Dr. Evelyn Hayes was busy at her workstation, the glow of her hollow display reflecting off her focused expression. Captain, the armor's energy output is stable, but we're approaching the limit of its capacity. If the aliens increase their firepower, we might not hold. Sarah turned to Hayes, a determined look in her eyes. We'll manage. Make sure the drones are ready. We need to distract them and buy some time for reinforcements. A sudden, jarring explosion shook the command center, causing the lights to flicker. The viewport displayed the chaos of the battlefield. Alien troops, emerging from the smoke, charged forward with renewed aggression, their weapons blazing with relentless fury. We've got incoming on all fronts! Morales shouted, his voice rising above the din. They're using their cloaking technology to get past our defenses. Sarah's heart pounded as she processed the new threat. Deploy the countermeasures and prepare a defensive perimeter around the command center. I want every available soldier on high alert. As her orders were relayed, Sarah saw her team spring into action. Soldiers, clad in their advanced armor, moved swiftly to fortify their positions. The hum of energy shields and the metallic clanking of armor plates filled the air. The command center was transforming into a hive of organized chaos. Hayes was still at her console, her brow furrowed in concentration. Captain, we've detected multiple breaches in the outer defenses. I'm rerouting power to reinforce the weakest points. Sarah's eyes met hers, filled with resolve. Do whatever you need to do. We're not letting this base fall. Lieutenant Morales' voice cut through the tension. Captain, we've got a full squad of aliens making their way through the east corridor. They're heading straight for us. Understood, Sarah replied, her tone steely. I'll lead the counterattack personally. Morales, coordinate with the drone units and keep those aliens distracted. As Sarah and her team moved out, the command center's automated defenses engaged. Lasers and energy blasts crisscrossed the battlefield, creating a dazzling and deadly light show. The ground shook with each explosion, and the air was filled with the acrid smell of ionized particles and burning metal. Sarah led her squad through the smoke and debris, their armor gleaming defiantly in the dim light. The battle was fierce, with alien troops engaging human soldiers in brutal, close-quarters combat. Sarah's command was precise, her voice commanding as she directed her team with unwavering focus. In the midst of the chaos, Sarah caught sight of a familiar figure, Dr. Hayes, who had joined the fray to protect the command center's remaining equipment. Hayes's hands flew over a portable control panel, adjusting settings and rerouting energy as if her life depended on it. The battle reached a fever pitch as Zartal's forces pressed their assault. Sarah's heart raced as she fought, the weight of leadership and the duty to protect her team weighing heavily on her shoulders. The alien commander's forces were relentless, but the humans held their ground with fierce determination. As the chapter drew to a close, the command center's defensive systems held firm despite the overwhelming pressure. Sarah's squad was battered but resolute, their armor a symbol of their unwavering resolve. The battle was far from over, and the outcome was still uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity would not surrender easily. The chapter ended with a tense standoff, the hum of energy shields and the distant roar of alien weapons filling the air. Sarah and her team prepared for the next wave, their spirits unbroken and their resolve steeled for the fight ahead. The command center, once a hive of controlled chaos, was now a testament to the fierce conflict that raged outside. The staccato rhythm of energy blasts had become a constant, underscoring the relentless struggle. Captain Sarah Mitchell's heart pounded as she surveyed the battlefield through the viewport, her mind racing to formulate their next move. Captain, we're losing ground on the western flank. Lieutenant James Morales' voice cut through the cacophony. He was crouched beside a holographic map, fingers moving swiftly over controls. The aliens are pushing through our defenses. Sarah's eyes narrowed. We need to regroup and re-establish our perimeter. Move our reserves to the western flank and reinforce with the drones. Dr. Evelyn Hayes, still at her console, looked up with a worried expression. Captain, the energy reserves are nearly depleted. If we don't get a handle on this soon, we'll be unable to maintain the shield's integrity. Sarah took a deep breath, her face set in determination. I'm aware. We're not letting this base fall. We'll hold the line and find a way to push them back. As Sarah relayed her orders, the command center's automated defenses sprang to life, a network of energy shields and laser turrets activating to counter the alien onslaught. Outside, the battle intensified as alien troops advanced, their alien machinery glowing ominously in the dim light. Sarah led her squad to the western flank, the ground littered with debris and smoldering wreckage. The alien forces, a menacing sea of armored figures, pressed forward with unrelenting force. The air was thick with the acrid smell of burning metal and ozone. "Hold the line here!" Sarah shouted, her voice commanding over the din. "We need to create a buffer to push them back." The squad, clad in their advanced armor, moved into position. Each soldier's visor reflected the flashing lights of combat, their weapons primed and ready. The clash of metal and the hiss of energy blasts filled the air as they engaged the advancing aliens. Lieutenant Morales fought beside Sarah, his eyes sharp as he directed the drones to create diversionary tactics. "Captain, the drones are working, but the aliens are adapting quickly. They're targeting our weak points." Sarah gritted her teeth. "We need a new strategy. Hayes, what's the status on those energy calibrations?" Hayes, sweat beading on her forehead, adjusted the settings on her portable control panel. "We're making progress, but it's a race against time. If we can stabilize the energy output, we might be able to launch a counteroffensive." Just then, a massive explosion rocked the western flank, sending shockwaves through the command center. Sarah's squad braced themselves as a new wave of alien forces emerged, their weapons crackling with renewed intensity. "Incoming!" Morales shouted, his voice filled with urgency. "They're launching a full-scale assault!" Sarah's eyes flashed with determination. "We need to push them back now. Engage all units!" The battle raged fiercely, the air alive with the roar of combat and the glow of energy weapons. Sarah and her team fought with unyielding resolve, their armor gleaming defiantly against the alien onslaught. Each clash was a brutal reminder of the stakes at hand. In the midst of the chaos, Sarah spotted Dr. Hayes, who had moved to a safer position but continued to work furiously on the energy recalibrations. Hayes's face was set in a mask of concentration as she adjusted the settings, her every movement a testament to her dedication. As the chapter neared its end, Sarah's squad began to regain ground, pushing the alien forces back. The tide of battle was shifting, but the fight was far from over. The command center's defenses held firm, the energy shields flickering but resilient. The chapter concluded with Sarah and her team, battered but unbroken, standing their ground against the alien assault. The distant hum of energy blasts and the smell of scorched metal hung heavy in the air, a stark reminder of the ongoing struggle. The battle had reached a critical juncture, and the outcome remained uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity was ready to fight for its survival. The sun had long vanished behind a thick curtain of smoke and debris, casting a perpetual twilight over Colony Alpha. Inside the command center, the once vibrant hum of activity had transformed into a tense, almost suffocating silence. Captain Sarah Mitchell stood at the viewport, her face illuminated by the flickering lights of the battlefield. The air was thick with the smell of charred metal and the faint, acrid tang of burned electronics. "Captain," Lieutenant Morales said, his voice taut with exhaustion and urgency, "our scanners show the aliens are preparing for one final push. They're regrouping their forces." Sarah's jaw clenched as she surveyed the battlefield. Alien troops, battered but undeterred, were consolidating their position. The remaining energy shields were sputtering, their glow dimming under the relentless assault. "We need to hold them off just a little longer. Hayes, how's the recalibration going?" Dr. Evelyn Hayes, her hands trembling slightly as she worked, looked up with a grim expression. "The energy reserves are at critical levels. I've managed to stabilize them for now, but I can't guarantee they'll last through this final attack." Sarah nodded, her mind racing. "We need a diversion, something to draw their focus away from our weakened defenses." A sudden burst of energy blasted through the command center's remaining defenses, and a shuddering tremor ran through the walls. Sarah steadied herself, her eyes locking onto Morales. Prepare the remaining drones for a diversion. We'll use them to create a false front and buy us some time. Understood, Morales replied, already barking orders to the remaining techs and soldiers. Deploying drones now. As the drones whirred to life, their energy pulses creating a dazzling light show against the alien forces, Sarah gathered her remaining troops. Each soldier wore a resolute expression, their armor bearing the scars of battle. The command center's internal alarms blared, urging everyone to their stations. Outside, the battlefield was a swirling maelstrom of lights and shadows. The alien forces, now drawn by the drone diversion, began advancing with renewed aggression. Their heavy weaponry unleashed a storm of firepower, the air thick with the roar of explosions and the sizzle of energy blasts. Sarah's squad, along with the remaining human defenders, took their positions along the perimeter. The ground shook as the aliens' assault hit their defenses with ferocity. Each impact sent reverberations through the command center, the metallic clangs and energy discharges echoing through the corridors. The tension in the command center was palpable as Sarah coordinated the defense. Hold the line! We're almost there. Keep pushing back. Lieutenant Morales fought beside her, his face illuminated by the glow of energy weapons. Captain, they're pressing us hard. We're going to need a breakthrough to turn the tide. Sarah's gaze darted to Hayes, who was still working furiously at her console. Any progress on that recalibration? Hayes looked up, her face flushed with exertion. I'm almost there. Just need a few more minutes to fully stabilize the energy output. With a final, determined nod, Sarah turned back to the battlefield. We hold here. For Colony Alpha. For Earth. The battle reached its zenith as the final wave of alien forces surged forward. The air was a cacophony of energy discharges, explosions, and the roar of combat. Sarah and her team fought with relentless resolve, each soldier's actions a testament to their unyielding spirit. As the final assault reached its peak, Hayes's voice came over the comms, filled with both relief and urgency. Captain, the recalibration is complete. We've regained energy stability. The command center's defenses flared back to life, the energy shields now glowing brightly as they repelled the alien assault. The tide of the battle shifted dramatically, the alien forces faltering under the renewed resistance. The chapter closed with the alien forces retreating, their advance halted by the renewed strength of humanity's defense. The command center, battered but resilient, stood as a symbol of the indomitable spirit of its defenders. Sarah and her team, exhausted but victorious, watched as the last of the alien forces withdrew. The battle was over for now, but the cost had been high. Sarah looked out over the battlefield, the smoke beginning to clear. The command center had held, and Colony Alpha was safe, for the moment. The future remained uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity had proven its strength, its resolve, and its unwavering spirit. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. I promise you, nothing will happen to your finger.